Rev up your engines. Today we have an interesting one. The case of the smelly Acura. Now he recently bought it used. It's a beautiful car. It's got nice black leather, nice chromed wheels. It's an RSX S, so it's a pretty fast little car. We go under the hood. We see one of the best engines Honda owns Acura ever made. The 2-liter double overhead cam VTEC. They get decent gas mileage. They put out an awful lot of power. It's got a 6-speed standard transmission, but as we go inside, you don't see it, but you can definitely smell it. Leathery smell to it. They are leather seats. Now I put it on recirc for a reason. It keeps the smells that are inside the car, and I definitely smell it. It didn't increase, but it's still there. Now we're gonna do this. Take recirc out and only have outside air blowing in our face. And what do I smell now? The smell is dissipating because it's sucking the outside air in. So that tells me it's not a problem in the venting system. And when I push the AC button on, the air gets colder, but the smell is still somewhat dissipating because it's taking the outside air. Now remember, when you do a test like this, make sure you have the recirc off. It's on now, it's off. We're getting outside air coming in. If it had a problem in the venting system or in the air conditioning system, you get an increase of the smell when you turn the AC on. But since the AC made no difference, it was still dissipating. Fresh air, it was still dissipating. The problem is internal to the car. Now I have a pretty good idea that it's the seats. Somebody is cleaning with something because I go up here, I really smell it on this front seat and also on the passenger front seat. But when I flip the seat and go into the back, I really don't smell it in the back. Now no one ever hardly ever sits in the back of these 2 doors anyways. And he thought, well, if somebody put cleaner, the smell would go away. But in this case, no. These are very well-made seats. They're very comfortable, but that's because they're aerated. The cleaner gets in here, it's almost impossible to get rid of it. It soaks into the material and it can stay there for a really long time. But I've had excellent luck with these ozone cleaners. Here's one here. I don't have one here. I got one in Tennessee. You can see it's only 66 bucks. Years ago, I had one in Houston and I made the mistake of leaving the windows rolled down in my Celica. I guess I was hot and sweaty and going insane, swearing at cars. So I left it overnight. Well, the neighbor's calico cat decided to climb in and pee all over the seats in the car, especially the driver's seat. I guess the cat didn't like me. And I used one of those overnight. Create the ozone, and the ozone binds to a lot of smells. And when you eventually turn it off and open the doors, now it's ozone. You can't breathe ozone. You would die if you were in an ozone atmosphere. But it's just your car sitting there. And the plus is, if you got any bugs in there, it'll kill them too. When it's all done, just open up the doors. It airs out quickly. The ozone just floats up. You know, they say, well, I don't want to ruin the ozone layer. Well, you're adding ozone in this case. As the ozone escapes, so does the odor. Now, you can see all of these thousands of tiny holes. The smell has gotten inside them. You might want to treat it a few times. It is excellent for getting rid of smells. Let's say you bought a used car and the previous owner was a smoker. You know the car's going to smell like cigarette butts, right? This will get rid of that too. These ozone generators are phenomenal for getting rid of smells. Now, like I say, you can't put it in your house and run it with people and animals living in there. You can't breathe ozone. It'd kill you if it filled up the room, but you'll have it closed. Anything that's in there, the ozone will bind with the smells, and I've had phenomenal luck getting rid of smells. Now he's going to buy one of these machines and we'll tell you how it works out after he does it. Might have to do it 2 or 3 times, but believe me, the ozone is very good at binding and getting rid of smells. And in this case, they were created because someone obviously wanted the seats to look good. Now he just informed me he bought it with 29,000 miles from a guy who was selling cars. And he asked the guy explicitly, does it have any smells? And the guy replied, it smells like a new car. All right, it's got 29,000 miles on it. It shouldn't smell like a new car, right? The guy obviously used some type of cleaner that some will say, the new car smell. Well, let me tell you something. You really don't want the new car smell, because what it really is, it is various chemicals that are vaporizing out of the plastic, out of the leather. You know, they treat leather when they make it, right? So it's got all kinds of chemicals in it. You want to actually get rid of the new car smell as soon as possible. My wife, for one, is extremely allergic to that stuff. So whenever I get a new car, which is never, I only buy used cars, and believe me, she checks them out before I buy them. And if she got in that car and said, this car stinks, I don't want it, I'm not buying the car. Just like that Seinfeld episode, The Stinky Car, right? That was a BMW. I would have never purchased that car. I wouldn't buy a BMW anyways, but let's say my wife said, oh, let's look at this car. And she got in and said, this car stinks, I don't want it. I would not buy it. But anytime I get a car, I'll stick it in the garage overnight, roll the windows down, and a lot of times, I'm a big fan, and it will blow all the smell away. You can dissipate a lot of smells, but in his case, he's had the car for 6 months, and it still smells. I smelled it. As soon as I opened the door, I knew that it was something to do with somebody cleaning those leather seats, because I got some leather cleaner from a company to try out a couple years ago for my wife's Lexus, and it's leather seats, right? And I cleaned it all, polished them up, they look great. But then she takes the grandkids to school sometimes, and grandson threw up because he couldn't stand the smell of it, right? My wife didn't like it either. I had to air the whole thing out to get rid of the smell. And of course I used the ozone generator, and then it went away quite fast, because that will get rid of all kinds of odd smells. And in the case of you got any insects in there, it has the added benefit is it'll kill them. They breathe oxygen just like we do, and if there's nothing in there but ozone, then the bugs conk out. You're battling against smells. Those ozone generators work quite well. And realize, if you've got fancy leather seats like that with all those holes in them, my advice is stick to pure stuff that says biodegradable, water soluble. You don't want heavy duty chemicals cleaning those leather seats, because especially those with all those holes in them. The old ones weren't too bad because they were just pure leather. And when you cleaned them, it's only on the external part. It doesn't have vent holes and stuff in it. Of course, it's a motorcycle. It sits outside all the time, so it's going to air out a bunch. But you got a car, what does it do 99% of the time? It sits there with the windows rolled up. You don't want people stealing stuff. It's sealed. And that stench is just kind of staying inside all those tiny little holes. Believe me, the ozone, it is a gas, and it will go everywhere. It'll permeate through everything. I've seen people try to scrub them, try to do all kinds of stuff, and if you try other cleaners, sometimes it'll get even worse. It'll smell even worse. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Mr. Chicken Spit, and he says, Scotty, I got a 2002 Lexus IS Inline 6 with 295,000 miles. I cleaned the mass airflow sensor, it runs good for a few days, and loses acceleration. Should I replace it? The thing is, you clean it, it runs better, and then it doesn't. You clean it, it runs better. It might be the sensor. The first thing I check, though, would be the connection, where the electrical plug plugs in. You're taking it out and cleaning it, putting it in. It could be that connector is loose and corroded. Look inside, clean it with spray electrical cleaner. It could just be the connector. And of course, you want to look at the data. Lots of things can make your car run bad, but it can't be a coincidence if every time you clean the stupid thing, it runs good for a few days and then runs crappy. So either the wiring's bad or the sensor's probably going out. But those sensors are pretty expensive. You go to AutoZone, wherever, discount auto parts store, you get a discount one made in China. They're pieces of crap. They don't even work half the time. You gotta go OEM, so they're expensive. You just don't want to guess. Gene Arena says, Scotty got an 02 Escalade EXT. Is it worth it? Is it worth what? Is it worth owning? You know, that's a 21-year-old Cadillac, and they generally turn into endless money pits. It would depend on the mileage, how it's been taken care of, how it's been driven. I tend to find the ones that are 20-something years old, if they're heavy mileage, they're near the end of their lifespan. They cost a fortune to work on those engines and transmissions. But if you got one and it's running okay and it goes okay, heck, it's an old car. Take care of it. Change the oil regularly. See how long it lasts, you know? If it's that old, it's not worth much money. And if it still runs, you might try to squeeze some more life out of the thing. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.